Hey guys, it's Kelsey. I'm back with another design team layout for Festive Friday. So this challenge is for Carnival, which is a really big festival in Brazil. Lots of feathers, parades, colors, dancing, super fun. So this one gave you a lot of opportunity to go in a really fun direction. I kind of decided to take it a different route, but we had to choose three things from a really fun list. So that was bright colors, masks, rhinestones or pearls, feathers, sequins, glitter, foil paper, an interactive element, fun fold, or ribbon. So I really wanted to go full carnival, lots of color. I was looking through my stash though. I'm on a spending freeze right now. First of all, Creativation is going on or has just passed, and so I'm trying to look into some of the new things I want to buy. So I'm trying to just use up my stash to get ready for that, and I don't have a whole lot in my stash right now that I really felt incorporated that carnival feel with the bright colors and everything. So I decided to tone it down a little bit and look at a few things I did have in my stash. And one of the things that really stood out on this list was feathers. I knew I had this Prima paper. I think this is their rose quartz collection. But I knew that I had already fussy cut a bunch of feathers from one of the pattern papers. And I knew this collection also had foiling on it. So that's the direction I decided to go. So you look at this page, it does not look carnival at all, but I really love that's part of these challenges. If you aren't, say, one of the Christmas challenges, if you don't celebrate Christmas and you celebrate something else, you can use something from that list to inspire a layout without it being that specific theme. So that's kind of where I'm going. I want to show you guys that you can do these challenges. You can pick three things from this list that's inspired by an event, but it doesn't have to be exactly that. So I'm pulling out all these feathers I had pre-fussy cut. I have a sheet of rose gold foil, which is the foiling that's in this collection. So I decided to mat this very pretty marbly paper that has that rose gold foil on a plain sheet of rose gold foil. So that way I have my foil paper checked off. I know I'm getting these feathers that are fussy cut on here. So that's two things right away on this list. I only need to incorporate one more. So right now I'm just figuring out from what I have how I can compose this page. I'm not quite sure what the third element would be, but I'm thinking it'll come up later in this process. But for right now, I'm like, okay, I have two things right off the bat, so I'm just going to start playing and see what happens. So I'm just going to layer up a few of these feathers. I have a doily and a scrap of a frame that I had stuck together that I thought I would use on a previous page and didn't. So I figured I might as well try and use it on this page. So that's starting off my little cluster next to the picture. And then I'm just going to stack up a few of the feathers. Some of those feathers are already mounted on foam as well from when I thought I would use them on a previous layout and didn't. So I'm just getting them used up. I'm really glad I'm getting things that didn't make it on past pages used up now at least. And something I really like to do with Prima papers is mixed media. I really like doing subtle mixed media. So this is really hard to see unless you have the layout in your hand, but there's all these tiny little plus signs I decided to use some texture paste through. So I'm going to do that across the background in a couple areas coming out from where my photo is going to be. But it's a really subtle texture, especially because it's white on white pretty much. But I really like doing that with Prima papers. They always inspire me to do these mixed media typed layouts, but a subtle version of it where you really have to look to see all the details. So that's kind of what I'm going with. You can barely see those plus signs on the layout from above like this, but hopefully in the close-ups you can see it better. But I thought that was a really cool texture and detail to add. So now I'm gluing down all of these clustery things. I decided to add a glassine bag. Again, I really just wanted to add a lot of white on white elements because the gold foil is very in-your-face, bright pop. And I know I already have all these feathers and this watercolory texture going on, so I really want to keep everything else subtle. I want there to be a lot of small details that overall give you a really cool feel. So that's what I'm working with now. I do want to mat this photo in some of the scrap of this gray-black marbly looking paper. It's not quite long enough to mat the whole photo, so you can see I'm trimming up that frame to at least frame the top part of the photo, and then I will use an offcut that I had trimmed this scrap down to patch together the bottom part of this frame. So you can see that's what I'm doing now. I just need to keep in mind that there will be a seam or a gap down there that I'll need to cover with something, but I'm thinking I'll either cover it with a banner or an embellishment or something, so I'm not too worried about it. But I'm going to get that all patched together. I love how the feathers look on top of this doily, on top of the glassine bag, on top of the mixed media. I think all of those very white, light, pretty textures all piled on top of each other create a really nice effect. So I'm really enjoying that. And this is where I decide, okay, I need to figure out what my third element is going to be. So I went through my little stash of ribbon that Jennifer had sent me. I had a really nice mauve-y pink that really gave me the feel of this collection. It matched one of the feathers really, really well. It goes really well with the pink that's in this collection. So I thought I might use that, and that way I have all three of my elements from this challenge on a page. So I ended up using the foil paper, feathers, and ribbon. So I just need to figure out where the ribbon's going to go. So yeah, but right now I'm just creating a little cluster to cover up that seam before I forget. But I did lay that ribbon out so I didn't forget about it. But there is a little die cut circle with a little bit of that rose gold foil on it. I decided to lay that on top of a little die cut of hearts. I think that mirrors that doily that's on the other side of the picture really well. It's a very nice little light frilly detail that I really enjoyed. So I'm layering that along with a little banner I had die cut for a previous page from the same black scrap. And then you just saw me die cut a couple hearts out of some other scraps to layer on top of that. So I'm just creating my own little handmade embellishment pretty much by die cutting a bunch of different shapes and layering them on top of each other. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm going to get all of that glued down. There is a hole in that circular piece where it's meant to be a tag, but I did not want to use it as a tag. I just wanted to use it as a circular base for this cluster. So I'm just being strategic about how I layer the banner and the hearts on top of it so that it covers up that hole. But I think that's a cute little detail down there. I think it balances the larger cluster that's on the other side of the page. So that's what I'm going to roll with. And now I really want some sort of banner or shelf to run across the bottom part of this photo to anchor all of those pieces down. I feel like there's a weird gap to the left side of that photo where there's the doily and the glassine bag and all that stuff on the top part. And then it just feels like it's floating and hanging awkwardly off the photo. So adding that banner gives that stuff somewhere to sit and it looks better to me. So I just took this is also a scrap from another page I had not used. It's just a plain piece of white cardstock that I had dry embossed with a wood grain folder. And so I'm just cutting that into a banner, and that's going to be a shelf on the bottom part of the photo, and I really think that helps anchor both of those embellishment clusters. I was trying out this blush Nouveau drop to see if that pink color would be a close enough match to use at the end of the page. So I just squeezed out a little dot so it could start to dry so I could see what that ended up being. But here's the ribbon. So again, trying to get that incorporated, I need to make sure that makes it on the page because that is the third part of this challenge. I decided to run it as a horizontal strip across this banner on the bottom. In my head, it seemed like a good idea, but you will see as soon as I put it down, it looks very strange. It looks very awkward, and I don't know, it looked better in my head. So I will end up moving that, but it's going to sit there and think about itself for a little bit. I'm not quite sure where to move it. I know I want this ribbon incorporated on the page. I think the ribbon looks so good with this collection, but it looks strange right there. So I will move it, don't worry. But yeah, while it sits there, I figured I would just add a few more light details around the page. I have these awesome little photo corners that Karen sent me. So I have, there's a bunch of different textures. I know I want white, but there are a few different textured whites, and I ended up going with this Swiss dot white. The white was closest to the white that's in this collection. This collection's white is very like cool. It almost has like a bluey undertone, even though it is white. So this white is the closest. The other ones on top of this almost looked yellow, even though they were white. So I'm going to glue these into all of the corners. Again, I think that's just a nice little detail. I'm just trying to bring in more subtle white elements that you don't see right away when you look at the page, but once you look at it, you start picking up on all these little things, and that's what I really thought was fun about this page. So that's what I'm working on, and then I was like, yeah, this ribbon is not working out. So I pull it up, and I end up running it vertically across the left side of the page just to connect that whole left column of embellishment. So you can see I pulled that top feather up to lay the ribbon down and then put the feather back on. So it's all connected. I think that looks really nice. And I love how the ribbon looks on this page. I think it adds a really nice texture. So really I'm almost done. I wanted a title, but again, I wanted something white and subtle. So I had this really cool epoxy sticker that says explore in cursive. This is a photo from Hawaii. It's just another one of the photos I took at my brother's condo with some of the flowers that he had around his house. So I didn't have anything specific to title it. It's just going to be in and amongst the other Hawaii photos. So I wanted to get that glued down. I think that white script looks really, really nice. And again, just pulling in the white. But I'm going to glue down all of these layers. I'm thinking about adding something to the opposite side of the page. But really, like, I love this background so much. It is so beautiful. I've been hoarding it. It's this gorgeous marble with this foiling detail, and I just don't want to cover it up. So I feel like I've done a lot of little details here and there. There's a lot of little things going on around the photo. So I decided to leave it. I really don't want to cover up this marble, and I like the amount of detail I have where it is. It's just concentrated in one area as opposed to spread out around the page. But I did add another epoxy heart from that sticker sheet that the title came off of, and now I'm just adding some white Nuvo drops. I did like the blush, but it wasn't purple enough to go with the pink that's on the page, so I just went with white. I've been adding all these little white details. I thought that white Nuvo drops would just look really good. So here are the close-ups of everything. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you check out the challenge. I will link everything in the description if you guys want to play along. There's a hashtag for this challenge. It is Carnival Brazil, hashtag Carnival Brazil, if you want to find all of the challenges for this specific one. Otherwise, just search Festive Friday or the hashtag. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye.